I've personally been using Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and a bunch of other softwares, and I'm personally blown like to bits. Like I've never seen something like this before, and any presentation deck that I do, I am also an artist, but from a business perspective, I don't need any design support anymore. Like if I'm making a website, if I'm making anything, I'd had to spend hours to scour the internet for the right images and with the proper rights. But now, like within 20 minutes, I'm done. If some of my film friends, they want a storyboard, it takes them maybe a couple of months, bam, it's over like in a day or two. So this is like serious real world use cases. Do you feel like the artist community is threatened? Are they able to adapt? Do they see the value in it? Are they pessimistic?
I'd like to take that question if that's okay.
Please.
I think the artist community is all of that. Artist communities feel a lot of FOMO right now. They're like, what are we missing out?
I can see that, yeah.
They also feel threatened because they see technology as displacing them and human labor. And the whole point, there were multiple reasons why we did this exhibition, and we did it in a particular way. One of the things that we're trying to repeatedly, talk about is how technology is an enabler, and it doesn't necessarily displace the human effort. In fact, even with AI, when we did the AI show with Harshit, these were questions that came at us in a very big way. Is that if the AI creates such beautiful work, then why do you need a human artist? And so then we worked on projects that were quite extraordinary, because we worked with, I think Harshit and 64𝗵𝗁 came up with this fantastic work called Strange Genders that had 2,500 artists work on these stick figures of what they thought of as a male and a female. And then the computer was fed this information and was asked about, what it thought of as a female. And what it spat out was not just one concrete image, but like a spectrum of images. And it's beautiful. I'll send you an image of that later on.
Please, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. And it was of much fascination to gender departments across some of the most well-known academics. Sort of attended a panel discussion we had recently, and they said that it was fantastic to see the AI respond, not with one image, but with a spectrum of images. So it was, and it went back in a reverse way and kind of gave credibility to what the gender theorists are saying across the world, saying that gender is not binary, rather it's a spectrum, So things like that, I think AI is going to play a major role in helping convey to a lot of artists who feel like, they take art very seriously. I think that I think a lot of the gaming NFTs that have come up are very playful, and that's beautiful, and I really love that. But for a lot of artists who are perhaps traditionalists, having them encounter art that engages viscerally with them and engages intellectually with them and helps, they have certain parameters for what they consider serious art. For them to encounter NFT art or art and technology that matches those parameters is very important, because then they feel, and so more and more they are, I think we are pulling them into this space. We've been very successful. We've had people like Seema Kohli and Veer Munshi and 𝗛𝗿𝗄 and Puneet Kaushik. These are some of the biggest names in contemporary art right now in India. And they are working and playing with augmented reality. They are working with just digitization of their works. But we also have masters of digital work like Ranbir Kalekar, for example, who's literally, I would say, after Raza and Souza, the next generation of Raza and Souza. And they are now starting to look at the NFT space more seriously as well. So we feel very privileged to kind of lead this conversation in India. I don't think that conversation is really happening in any other space. And we hope to be more and more, build believers in this space.
Definitely. You mentioned you've got a Wall Street background, and I want to come back to this, but I just want to stay on this thread of AI for a second with Harshad. Harshad, one thing that I really like to do every couple of weeks, man, is to give him the same prompt again in Midjourney and see the way the AI has progressed. And it's been nuts, like a few months ago, it wasn't doing faces, it wasn't doing hands, but now it's come a long way. And same question to you, man. Do you feel threatened? I mean, I know you're new in the space. There've been artists that have been, working on certain mediums for like 20 years, 25 years. Their perspective also, is from a different angle. Your perspective would be from a different angle. But do you see this as an opportunity or a threat at this point in
time? Yeah, I mean, new from a 25-year-old timeline, definitely, but not new from the AI art timeline. I've been making AI art for as long as it has existed, especially sort of deep learning based artwork since early 2013, 2014. So I think, for me in that sense, I think it's really beautiful. I don't see this in any way as a threat or anything of that sort. I think it's beautiful that everyone has the access to sort of use platforms like Midjourney, 𝗛𝗵𝗿, and create visual works that they find exciting and interesting. For me as an artist, I think what is important, and art has always done that over centuries, is to find sort of newer ways to engage with the medium. And if something can be done, then sort of how to extend that boundary a little bit more so that you're able to realize the intention of your work in ways that are more interesting, novel, that poke at questions about the medium itself. So sort of thinking of things like, where does all this data come from? And the works like Myna was alluding to, Strange Genders, where you use sort of the entire cycle of data collection, data processing, etc., to create work that really speaks to a certain subject, instead of, let's say, using like a platform like Midjourney, 𝗛𝗵𝗿, which has sort of not been trained specifically for your purposes, right? So I think there are multiple ways in which sort of as an artist, I am engaging with AI. It's not simply about like, having a particular thought and just like creating an image of that thought. So I think with certain other work like called Unstill Life, the whole idea of actually trying to teach machine the aesthetic difference between the compositional and the painterly. So the idea of actually using the training process as the craft of an AI artist. So playing around with parameters of learning rate, sort of randomly cropping data sets so that the machine is exposed to different parts of the imagery during its learning process. So I think like the real craft of an AI artist starts to lie in that realm, where just as, if I had to draw a very quick analogy to, let's say, a potter, right? Like the amount of water they add during sort of the process of
definitely for the consistencies of the clay
and the pressure, etc. So I think like training an AI algorithm is that craft, and for an artist to work deeply with that so that they're able to come up with sort of aesthetic outcomes that they intend. I think so. All of that is sort of the depth to which I'm embedded in the AI art space, and I definitely think that it's really nice that a community of people are now able to sort of create things that they want to create and accelerate the process of their creation, like you're saying, for storyboarding for filmmakers, etc. It's great that that acceleration.
I might have named like 2 out of 1,000 users, just like off the top of my head.
No, and I mean like all industries. I think you're right. This is going to disrupt all industries, but that
I could feed a piece. I could feed a piece of the land that I have, and then ask for an intricate solar-powered house, and maybe it gives me a design that I can give to the architect and tell him to fine-tune this. That's definitely going to cost me less.
Wow.
Right. And this whole, there's also an analogy to draw to the photography moment in some sense in the art world, right? Where up till then, sort of artists had this major responsibility of mimicking reality and painting reality to the best extent possible. And then you had photography, but that did not like stop the existence of artists, right? It in fact just helped them sort of push out
Hone in
from
the
this
craft more,
confine
yeah.
and do more sort of their own abstract perceptions of what depicting reality would mean. And then it led to all kinds of art movements that that we've been so blessed to have as part of our culture, right? So I think, and I say this sometimes as sort of a spin on thinking of this, like the invention of cars does not automate the act of walking, right? So I think there is a space for everything to sort of coexist and help build on top of each other. And yeah, I mean, bottom line, I'm excited by sort of this democratization of the ability to create visuals. And there's no reason why I would sort of feel fearful.